Yeah, sorry. Technical issues. Gotta move this out of the way so I can put the screen share on and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, sorry. Technical issues. Yes, also having technical. All right. Screen share on. There, turn that off, and it should be going now. All right, good enough, maybe. All right, now we'll put this back down here, and let's get rid of the border just for fun. Oh, there we go. All right, so yeah, so the title has a purpose. There's this experiment that is done. It probably started back in the 50s. I don't know. It's an MIT thing mostly, but others have done it, where you use radio waves or microwaves to duplicate the two-slit experiment. So essentially, you just create two antenna sources that have the same signal on them. And the idea is the two signals interfere with each other, breaking all the laws of physics, of course, even quantum mechanics, because the two signals would be made out of different photons, and there's no evidence that different photons interfere with each other. No evidence that photons interfere with each other realistically. You can't make them do it. You can shoot laser beams at each other all day long, and shoot different colored light bulbs, green light bulb, red light bulb. Can't make the light bang into each other, create some other color. Can't do any of that stuff. Has to happen on a surface, has to happen when it hits matter. No interference otherwise. So that's something, it's a huge paradox in their logic that they would even use this radio example, this other photon example, when, they sort of know that the facts are that photons don't interact with each other, and that somehow you have to turn them into a wave function for them to interact with each other. And there's no, in the antenna example, there's no function. There's no interaction with matter. There's no interaction with something to create the wave functions, the probability waves that are the things that are supposed to be doing the interfering. So anyway, the setup of the experiment is pretty simple. It's just a two-slit experiment. So you have two antennas, and in this case, they're radar antennas, but you can use something else. So there's two antennas there in the back you can see. And the idea is they're sending the same signal, and they have an audio signal on top of the radar frequency. And they're detecting the audio signal by tuning to the frequency of the radar gun. And the radar gun is, in my opinion, just jamming itself. And this is a video that Professor Lewin did on jamming, actually, where he jammed a radio station. It's just kind of funny. He knows what jamming is, and yet they call it interference, when clearly the two signals are just going to end up jamming each other and, producing the outcome. So anyway, I don't want to waste money on the hardware to do this one experiment. I mean, it's just one experiment. So what you need to do is you have to have, so I'll pay a minimum of $300. But, if I can't get somebody to do it for $300, then I'll pay more. But I'm going to go to the lowest bidder, so to speak, of somebody who has the technology to do it right. I mean, it needs to be done right. Doesn't mean you have to have an oscilloscope, but it just means that you have to have enough hardware to do it right, convincingly complete. And the idea is you're going to have to send the signal at a pretty strong signal, enough to create a voltage in the receiving antenna that you can perceive. Now, there's an example of that in another MIT video. Here we go. All right, now this video is just an example of, so they have two radio antennas going sideways, 3-foot antennas, something like that. They're carrying the same signal. So the two tubes are in the picture. So obviously this was kind of old hardware. They're basically the amplifier. So they're sending a pretty strong signal. And then they have a receiving antenna, and just showing that parallel to the, perpendicular to the antenna, there's no radio being received. And then when you're parallel with it, you receive the radio. So I can play that a little bit. You'll see that they're picking up the actual voltage from the transmitting signal. So they don't have to tune it to any particular frequency. They can just pick up the absolute voltage. Now, so that's the kind of strength of signal you'll need. So you can see the whole setup is a 6 feet of antenna transmitting, 6 feet receiving.
Could be a new post.
Oh, useless ass wipes.
And such.
Jesus. Crank callers, douchebags, these idiots everywhere. Anyway, all right. So either you have to have a transmitter. You have to be able to transmit radio a good, strong signal, and it probably the lower frequency you go with, the longer distance you need to do the experiment over. So you do a low frequency experiment, you're going to have to be outdoors or something. And obviously the higher frequency you could do, you have to be really careful because you're sort of breaking the law, because you have to create a signal strong enough to create the voltage, but you obviously don't have to do it for very long, so it won't be a huge catastrophe. The radar experiment is a little better, the microwave one, but then the trick is you got to be careful because you have to produce enough microwaves to correct the voltage in the receiving antenna. That means you're going to have to make sure you don't stand in the way of the device, that you have some other way to move it, because you don't want to be shooting yourself full of microwaves. I don't think you do. We take no responsibility for whatever somebody does. That's their business. If they do their experiment wrong, it's not my problem. No liability for my part. So if you're not competent, don't take the job, kind of thing. Don't offer. So that's basically it, though. I just, like I said, I could spend the money and buy the hardware, but it seems like a waste to buy hardware that I'll probably never use again for any other purpose. And I'm not really an expert at, I don't have an oscilloscope. I don't have a lot of things. I can't, and I want the experiment done in such a way as nobody can doubt the results. Now, the other thing I want you to look for, the key to the whole thing is, what I would argue is, first, you'll find that there's no interference. That is, you'll get the same voltage across, so the same amount of signal gets to the antenna from every location, as long as you're just receiving signal. But if you do tune it, I would argue that when you tune it to twice the transmission frequency, that is, if the transmission frequency is 300 kilohertz, damn, my monitor's broken. It keeps blipping out. Just really irritating. Stop it! I had a temporary fix that was working, putting a little bit of pressure on the button, but it's not working anymore. It's always something. I just don't want to take the damn thing apart and fucking solder the damn on-off button. I mean, on-off buttons failing. I mean, this is where technology just goes so fucking wrong. They have to make these fancy, stupid little push buttons, little clicky buttons, instead of having a proper on-off. And, then they electronically fail and break the monitor for no good reason. I mean, it shouldn't be your weakest link. The on-off button shouldn't be the weakest link ever. Ever. This is going to get annoying. Anyway, it's just, it's in a really shitty period. It's just going every fucking time. I just can't get the lucky fix. Complete failure, I'm afraid. I mean, it's really, I can't see anything. I just can't mouse. I can't do anything because I can't see anything. All right, calm down. Stressful day. Stay on. Anyway, so the thing to look for is that, say it's a 300 kilohertz signal, would be to look at 600 kilohertz. there's a tiny band, should be where the two frequencies are perfectly at half phases off. So this is the frequency, the two signals are exactly a half rate phase off. And when they're exactly a half rate phase off, it's going to be essentially one signal that'll be 600 kilohertz. And so it'd be interesting if you can tune to that. You'd probably have to put something on it to hear it, but I don't know if you'd have to put anything on it to hear it to receive it. So you're just basically going to try to receive it. You should be able to receive it without putting a carrier. But anyway, that's what you should find. That would really seal the deal about their theory being complete rubbish about what's going on here. But again, logically, I think you can understand their theory has to be rubbish. Just because it does break the quantum mechanic rules of how this is supposed to work. And it's supposed to work because there's a wave function of some kind of thing that happens to these photons or electrons, that in a sense the thing is interfering with itself. That's supposed to be the argument, that if you single electrons through or single photons through, that you still get the pattern. Now it's really hard to send single ones through two separate antennas, but I think you can logically figure out it probably isn't going to work with antennas. If I turn one antenna on and turn the other one on periodically, I won't get the same interference pattern. I think you can intuitively figure out it just won't work because there's not anything for them to interfere with. So interference sort of should have an interference or some kind of cause for the effect, and it just doesn't exist. So anyway, the purpose of this is not to demonstrate a proof that they're wrong. It's a proof that you can't trust them. Because yes, it just proves that they went way too far in assuming every time they can get this on-off pattern, the on-off pattern is created by the same cause, where this will be clearly demonstrated. The on-off pattern is being caused by a specific kind of interference, a specific kind of overlap of frequencies, and where the radio receiver can't tune in anything because the two frequencies are on top of each other and it can't decipher either one. It can't receive them because there's too much noise being jammed. That's all. Simple answer. And like I said, I shouldn't even have to do the experiment because you should be able to just theoretically and logically understand why they must be wrong. And again, that doesn't prove I'm right. It just proves they're not as trustworthy as you people think they are. They haven't crossed and T's and dotted I's and been careful, and they've jumped to conclusions. And this is just an example. This experiment's been going on for 70 years, and no one's pointed out that they're attributing a cause that isn't the right cause. They've got it wrong. They've identified it wrong. All right. So the other thing about related to this. I can't find the video of this George King guy back in 1959, 1960. He made one of these videos on physics called Interference or something, and it had the radio one outdoors, doing it outdoors. And I can't find that video. I know it's part of a video, one of these, but I can't find it. So if somebody can find that video, I'd appreciate it. I don't know why this John J. King guy was pretty good. I don't know why all his videos aren't in one place, like all of them. It seems like MIT should do that. The guy was with MIT for 40-some years. I mean, shit. Anyway. Seems kind of weird that they don't have a proper YouTube archive of his videos. So anyway, is there anything else I have to add on this? I guess not. That pretty much covers it. So email me at ds@draftphysics.com. ds@draftphysics.com if you're interested in attempting the experiment. not only will you get paid, but you might get a little bit famous, for demonstrating IBM professors to be kind of lazy and stupid, wrong, because this is, I'm just saying, theoretically, they can't be right. So, and so I'm quite confident what the results are going to be and such. And I just appreciate somebody else. Like I said, I don't want to have to, buy radar transmitters for one experiment. Because I can't think of any other experiments that would be all that interesting with radar. So, yeah. Hot as hell in here. It's been one of those kind of days. Anyway, all right, so we'll see if we can find the chat. And there's nobody in it. Cool. Oh, that's cool. Jeez. See if anybody's watching. Maybe I just leave it short. Servicing IQ online. I don't know what that means, but okey doke. Guess that means you're here or something. Like a hoobie or something. Dust particle. I'm here. Yeah, no. I don't think I left anything out. So, like I said, the experiment can be done either way. Radio, anything from like 20,000 kilohertz, I think, might work outdoors to, 6 gigahertz or something. Something in between, anywhere in there should work. I think for the higher frequencies, you want the better antennas, like the little cone antennas for the microwaves or radar. Radar and microwaves are pretty much the same thing, right? I think so. Guessing so. I mean, radar might just be a little bit higher frequency than microwaves. I don't know. But maybe it's just the shape of the antenna, the sides. I don't know. Yeah. So, yeah. So it's enough of it. It could be enough. Just got here. Congratulations getting a job offer, I suppose. I didn't get a job offer. I'm offering a job. I guess somebody got confused. Difference in length and amplitude. I don't know what that means. I mean, I don't know what you're saying. Servicing IQ. You're using the word IQ in your screen name, and then you say something that can't possibly be a proper sentence. I mean, there's no subject. Difference in length and amplitude, period. End of line. Okay, what does that mean? Please, what could that possibly mean? Oh. Monitor blipped out. It was good for 5 minutes. Fucktarded. Anyway, I have a radio. What job you need done? Well, I just did a whole explanation of it, so I don't think I'll do it again. You have to have more than a radio. You have to have a radio transmitter, and you have to be able to make 2 antennas, which can't be too difficult. But if you're using higher frequencies, then obviously you need little radar antennas. But either way, you need antennas, and you need to be able to produce I'm not saying it has to be kilowatts, but it has to be, you probably have to be able to pump out 1,000-watt signal. So let's say if you could do it from 20 feet away to detect an interference pattern, you're you might need to have a radio transmitter that can produce 1,000 watts. I'm not sure, 500 maybe. And then you need some kind of a really good voltmeter and or an oscilloscope to detect on the receiving antenna to show the strength of the signal. But you don't need to tune it in, obviously. The whole point is not to tune in the signal. It's just to receive the voltage from the signal, the amplitude. The amplitude difference, obviously. I used to use coat hangers to make receivers back in the day, probably before you were born. Well, considering I'm, 58 years old, I'm not sure it was before I was born, but maybe. But yes, you can use any kind of antennas. I'm just saying, obviously, I want the experiment, if I'm going to pay for it, I want the experiment done well enough to establish this as a well done factual experiment that can't be, I don't want somebody saying, it wasn't a good enough experiment. It's fake news, no bullshit. I don't want any bullshit. I want a nice, properly done, videoed experiment. Ah, cut this damn monitor. I don't want to buy another stupid, crappy monitor. I shouldn't complain. I mean, I bought this one like for $30 3 years ago. And I did this on off thing about a year after I bought it. And like I said, I've been gerrymandering a solution, but it's just not working anymore. But anyway, weird thing is, it's the right resolution. I mean, it's the 9:12 ratio thing, and YouTube doesn't fit properly in the YouTube video, which is a little bit weird. It doesn't fill the whole screen the way it should. Oh, fucking goddamn it. I don't want to take this apart. Sorry, I might be out of my expertise. I major in women's studies. Oh, that crap again. Whatever. I mean, troll. They're all just so fucking entertaining. What would the world do without you fucking cunt, useless pieces of sacks of shit to waste people's time? You and the spam fucking callers. Someday the world's going to grow up, and it's going to just drone the fuck out of you useless pieces of shit. I hope it anally rapes you first, though. I mean, there's just nothing more belligerently retarded than being a troll. Wasting people's time is disgusting. Disgusting. You're just a noisemaker. You're a parasite, like a goddamn fucking mosquito. God. Just die, you piece of pus. Ugh, people. I just goddamn hate people. Come on, you fucker. Stay on, please. All right. 30 seconds. It's pretty good. It's only 15, but I'll encourage it. You're doing okay. Stay on. That's it. Stay. Good little monitor. Alrighty then. I had another hour slated for this room, but if no one's got anything to say, I don't know if it's much point. I guess I could point out Sean Carroll is doing a podcast thing. Let's see if I must have that video here somewhere, I imagine. Let's see. That isn't it. Yeah, that's the other nutty professor. No, that's not what I'm looking for either. Math guy. Math. Where's my subscriptions? It should be here, so it should be here. This ain't right either. How photons are attracted to nerve cones. That's the tinfoil hat convention. Come on, damn it. Bad. All right, this is. Oh, that's a horrible documentary. Yeah, I gotta make fun of that. Let's do it, Brian Green turd. Let's see. No, roll of that. No. Physics. No. Physics. No. Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. What the hell happened? I knew I did it. There's John Carroll. Yeah, right there. Mindscape. All right, so he's doing a podcast. I don't know how often it'll be. I don't think he said so. Once a month, once a week. I don't know. So I guess he's going to try to do the Sam Harris thing. Everybody's trying to do the whatever interesting conversation person. And Sean Carroll has, the gift of gab, but he does just gab. I mean, it's after a while that whole Kermit the Frog thing just kind of puts you to sleep. I mean, even though he has an unusual voice, he doesn't. He just gets so drony the way he talks. He just goes. After he goes on a while, my brain just shuts down. Frankly, did he say something? I didn't hear any. It didn't. Sorry, I wasn't paying any attention. But anyway, I figure I'll attempt to contact his people, as he puts it, and see if I can pay him, yes, to interview me. Yeah, or let me interview him. I mean, it obviously doesn't have to be part of his podcast, but I'd really like to be able to get one of these guys to. I mean, it seems like, oh yeah, here he wants to be interactive and he wants to talk about more than physics and he wants to be a human being and all that crap. But it's all this elitist crapola. Unless you're a celebrity, you're probably not worth the trouble. Oh, damn it. Shit. I just don't want the fucking aggravation. Monitors are a pain in the ass to take apart. It's not a very big one. It's just a 19-inch or something. I mean, it's really a strange shape. It's way too wide for how tall it is. But at least it's better. See, my other monitor is the little boxed 19-inch one. And you can't change the screen resolution in Linux. So I can't put in the wrong numbers and have a weird looking shape and then YouTube expand it. So I can't, it's only screen shares in that stupid middle section of the video. So, I mean, that seems like a little thing, but I mean, it is kind of aesthetically irritating. I mean, I don't like being aesthetically irritating if I don't have to be. Sort of. So, is there anybody in here? I mean, maybe it's just not the best time, I guess. Or, there just isn't many people wanting to participate in physics conversation, clearly. Just not too many people. I guess this is the room link here. So I can't read it, so that's cool. 14 viewers, it's pretty crappy. But much I can do about that. Not much really. Yeah. So let's see if there's anything else. Damn it. Let's see if there's anything else except I can't see. Well, I guess maybe I just close the room and then spend the next hour taking the monitor apart. I guess that's my only, my few cruddy choices here. Seems a cruddy choice. Yeah, I'll have to do it. There's no point doing this. I just can't see anything. No point. All right. See if there's any last comments. I'm going to be hungry. I don't know what that means. Manthus Blah are a cheese propagandist. Mathis Bra, you are a cheese propagandist. Well, I'm not Miles Mathis, retard, so I'll just block you. Well, fuck you. It's gonna be hungry. What does that mean? Why are you people all such assholes? I just don't understand. I don't understand why you're on the internet, what you're doing here in this room. What are you? What? Just don't get it. Yeah, just don't. World is full of assholes, no doubt about that. That's being proven every day. You know, why I love you and Mendham isn't very useful either. Don't really understand it. I mean, if you even know anything about me, you'd know I don't really like the word love much. Don't have much respect for it. It's it's such a useless four-letter word. Did tone it down anyway. I like you and Mendham. That might not be so bad. I respect you. I'd like to send you a cupcake. You know. Let's see. I just don't know how else to put it. Well, I know, but it just seems like they could put it some other way. Yeah. You know, some way that doesn't imply, well, it could be that I want to, fuck your butt, or it could mean that I like you like I like Barney the dinosaur. Yeah. I mean, just saying love doesn't do anything. Doesn't say anything specific enough to be useful. Ugh, it's so fucking hot in here. 89.2 degrees in my house. Come on, man. What the fuck? I have to fix this. I like that I had a little simple clamp solution. You know, I just have a piece of wire bent so it comes from the back and from the front and just holds the button in. And it actually worked for 4 months really well. It's not working anymore. It's not working enough. Worst thing is sometimes these little things, when they have these panels in the front with the buttons on it, you have to take all the rest of the monitor off to get to the fucking switches. So you have to take everything apart to get to it. But maybe it won't be that bad. So anyway, how about this? I respect you. Yes, that's a little better, but I don't know if the information does me any good, technically. Nice of you to say, I suppose. I don't know. It just doesn't, if you were somebody, then it could mean something, but you're, first, last guy, it's kind of not the kind of thing I can, write on a piece of paper. First, last guy respects me. There, I've made it. No offense, but just that's the way the world works. Gotta impress them with more than that. Yeah, well, whatever. There's no book coming along. No, I don't watch anime. Much, anyway. I don't know. I might see some twice a year or something. Is there any anime worth watching every day? Is there some great anime series like the Flintstones or something in anime? Who cares about the news? People just don't get the agenda here at all, do you? First, the news is silly. It's just about what did the stupidest person on the planet do today. If that's something you need to know, I don't need to know that. So news isn't really news. It's crap, just by its definition. Find this most ludicrous thing that happened today, and there it is on the news. There, very exciting. Who cares? The fact that physicists are talking wacky dualism bullshit and can't even get their own theory of interference right, like it's the single photons interfere with themselves, or do the photons interfere with each other? Can't get any of these stories straight. Well, that's not news. But wacky people feeding sharks, that's news. They're videos, they're recorded, they're archived in different places. They're not going anywhere. Videos don't, fall apart or something. They're saved in multiple locations and throughout the universe. There's really no threat that I'm going to disappear. Mostly no threat. I haven't actually saved all my graph science videos, but physics ones, but maybe old fan has. Ugh, hot. Not that I'm not going to write a book. I'm just saying that the book isn't the subject. This is the Draft Physics channel. This isn't the other channel. I don't know. You can't figure out why I have two separate channels. Is for a reason, because they're separate subjects. Oy. So frustrating. All right. Well, anyway, we're obviously not getting anywhere. There's nobody who's got any physics stuff related here, so I'll just get the hell out of here. They fuck it. Hell with it. Disappointing as always. I just have no patience for anything anymore. I just don't have patience for this bullshit. None. This fucking monitor, I want to just throw it out in the fucking yard. Piece of shit. Time to buy a new one. New broken one. Broken in some other fucking idiotic way. All right. End broadcast, yes. I'll stop